What's going on, everyone? Baz here, and man, what a wild weekend to be a Packers fan. So today I'm just going to be recapping and giving my take on the Green Bay Packers 2021 draft class and basically giving my thoughts out on each pick. Before we get into that, I want to thank every single one of you that came out to my live stream Thursday and Friday night for the draft party I had. Great support. I had a blast. I think it was a really fun time. I definitely want to stream more, and thank you everyone for all the support. I couldn't do it without you guys. And also thank you to everyone here on the channel that is new and has subscribed over the past couple weeks. And if you aren't already, please consider subscribing to my channel if you enjoy everything Green Bay Packers. Alright, so as we all know, the Green Bay Packers with their first round pick at pick 29 took cornerback Eric Stokes out of Georgia. And the first thing you know with this guy and realize is he is fast. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I was streaming and I saw this pick, I was a little shocked because I thought Eric Stokes was more of a second round player, but obviously Green Bay and more teams had him ranked a lot higher because as day 2 started and the Jacksonville Jaguars with the first pick took Tyson Campbell, the other cornerback out of Georgia, who I believe is definitely ranked below Stokes, and I think a lot would agree with me. It made me realize I don't know if Stokes would have made it to that far. I think Jacksonville would have taken Stokes if he was there. So if the Packers were to trade back like I thought they could have and still got Stokes, I don't think that would have happened. Now, we can always say the what ifs and talk in hindsight, but generally speaking, we know the Green Bay Packers needed a cornerback. Eric Stokes is 6'1", 185. He fits the Packers mold with the speed, with a 9.37 RAS. I mean, the dude ran a 4.29 40. He ran as high as a 4.25 at his pro day, but we know the pro day 40s are a little bit inflated, but regardless of that, the dude is a flyer. He will be the fastest player on the Packers. He was a 2-year starter in the SEC. He broke up 26 career passes. In 2020, he only played 9 games, but he allowed 16 receptions on 28 targets for 145 yards, allowing 1 touchdown and intercepting the ball 4 times, 2 of which he returned for touchdowns. And he only allowed a 43.6 passer rating against him. Teams really didn't throw on Eric Stokes last year. I mean, in general, that Georgia defensive backfield was great. Him and Campbell both played really well, but I would definitely consider Stokes to be the best defensive back on last year's Georgia team. So via PFF, he also had a 73.4 coverage grade. Overall, just a very athletic corner. One of his pros is definitely he's really good in press coverage, which I think we all agree the Packers need to start getting back into. It seemed under Mike Pettin, a lot of his corners or Preston Smith would be 15 yards off the ball on 3rd and 3 and give up a quick out, a quick dig, a quick curl, and you're just like thinking in your mind, why? Like, why are you sitting that far back on a 3rd and short? So I like the speed of Stokes. Let me correct myself. I love the speed of Stokes. We obviously needed a corner. He's going to come in. He's not going to need to start day 1, and I think that's perfect for him. He's going to be a great transition corner to eventually start at that outside role for Kevin King. The thing with Kevin King is he's an average player when healthy. So we don't know if he's going to remain healthy. He could be hurt by week 4, week 5, week 6. We really don't know. He could play healthy, or he could be healthy and play bad and get pushed out by week 4, week 5, week 6. But if Kevin King does indeed stay healthy and plays above average, I think this also turns into a situation where they could run Jair Alexander in the slot a little bit more. Kind of like they did with Woodson, and then put the 2 speedsters. I mean, Jair's fast too, but the 2 speedsters and Kevin King and Eric Stokes, the 2 taller speedsters on the outside, allowing Jair to float around and follow receivers and mirror guys a little bit more. And I think that's something that not a lot of people are looking into. As for special teams, he didn't really return at all at Georgia. Obviously, with that speed, you at least would want to look at it. But in the 3rd round, we did draft Amari Rodgers, which I'll get to, and I'd say he's more of the pure returner out of this draft class, but I wouldn't put it past Green Bay to at least see what Stokes has in the return game. All right, so the first of the 2 day 2 picks, at pick 62, the Packers drafted Josh Myers, center out of Ohio State. This one shocked me again a little bit, but it made sense. The Packers really hit on a lot of needs in this draft. They drafted Josh Myers as center above Creed Humphrey and Quinn Miners, who I honestly had above Josh Myers, but now looking at it, it makes sense for the Packers. Obviously, Creed Humphrey went the very next pick to the Kansas City Chiefs, and then Quinn Miners fell a little bit to the Broncos. But overall, the Packers 100% needed a center. I really like them drafting one this early. He's a day one starter. He probably will start at center day one. He's 6'5", 310 pounds. He's exactly what you want as an offensive lineman, especially the Packers. Just tough as nails, wants to go hit someone. He's a very high football IQ, just like Corey Linsley. Nasty run blocker, and he's very solid in pass protection. He's definitely more of a run blocker, but he's solid in pass protection. And I love this because we're going from one Ohio State center who has contact with Corey Linsley. He's seen him walking around at Ohio State, probably has talked to him, probably has watched his tape at Green Bay and kind of mirrored his game around him, to another Ohio State center in Josh Myers, which is awesome. He played all 1,511 snaps at center in college, so he has a little bit of versatility to play guard, but I fully see him being just a full-time center for the Packers. Through his career, he only allowed 6 sacks on a total of 755 pass blocking snaps. And as I was kind of mentioning before, I love this because it keeps Elgton Jenkins at left guard, and then it keeps either Lucas Patrick or John Runyon at right guard. You don't have to move a guy out of position. Now, obviously, Elgton Jenkins can play pretty much anywhere on the offensive line, but we can all agree that he's an all-pro guard, so it would be best to keep him there. Hey, he could probably even be an all-pro tackle, but I think moving him to center is just kind of, it's not something I really wanted. Obviously, if we had to do it, he could do it, but getting a center here in the second round is wonderful. So as for our second day pick, we did trade up to pick 85 from 92 with the Tennessee Titans. We did end up giving pick 135, which I think was a little bit of an overpayment, but they went up to grab their guy who they had ranked in the second round, and that is Amari Rodgers, wide receiver out of Clemson. When I was streaming, a lot of people in the second round were saying, hey, Amari Rodgers, and don't get me wrong, I like Amari Rodgers, but I really didn't like him at pick 62, but at pick 85, I love. Gutekunst even said he was questioning getting him at pick 62, but he had Myers above him, so that's why he drafted Myers, and then when Amari Rodgers kept falling, he ended up trading up to 85 to snag his guy, and I think this is great value here. So Amari Rodgers is 5'9", 212 pounds. He has a lower RAS at a 5.37. He ran a 4.52 40, but in my opinion, he plays much faster in game with the ball in his hand. I don't believe for a second his true speed is 4.52. Amari Rodgers, playing with Trevor Lawrence, led the entire ACC with 77 catches in 2020. Now that's 12 games. He had the 77 receptions for 1,020 yards and 7 touchdowns. So the dude's a premier wide receiver and is a great yak guy. I think the Packers really needed a yards after the catch guy desperately. It was very clear when they wanted to go after someone like Brandon Ayuk last year. So getting a yak guy like Amari Rodgers, someone who can play in the backfield, he reminds me a lot of Ty Montgomery with a little bit of a splash of Randall Cobb. And if you haven't read the story, his dad was a football coach at Kentucky and coached Randall Cobb, so Randall Cobb was kind of a mentor to Amari Rodgers, and I think Amari learned a lot of his skill set through Randall Cobb, which is awesome to hear because I think the Packers have really been missing that true shifty yak slot guy that can move around in the backfield, create mismatches, and I really like the idea of Amari Rodgers in the Matt LaFleur system. Now, a lot of people think he is just a slot receiver, and I'm going to go ahead and give my rebuttal to that. Matt LaFleur has said he believes Amari Rodgers can play anywhere on offense in terms of outside, slot, backfield, whatever. Last year, he did play 86% of his snaps in the slot in the Clemson offense. But in 2018, as a freshman, he actually played 84% of his snaps outside, and I believe he still had over 500, 600 yards receiving. And that's as a freshman. So there's obvious versatility here. There's obvious capability of playing outside, playing in the slot, using him in the backfield. I think he's going to take over that Swerve and Irvin role day one, which we did need to replace, and I think Amari Rodgers will do that well. Now, as I said when I was talking about Eric Stokes, I think Amari Rodgers is our day one punt returner. He could potentially return kicks. I think overall he's a great return guy, but he was primarily a punt returner at Clemson, so he'll definitely be that. Now, it's to be seen if he'll be a kick returner, but we definitely needed someone to return anything. Anytime someone returned a ball, a kick return, punt return, whatever for the Packers that wasn't named Tyler Ervin, I cringed. I pretty much said knee the ball or get to the 25 and just fall down. Malik Taylor, Darius Shepard, I don't think those guys are returners at all, and Amari Rodgers should have no issue winning those roles. So like I said, I'm very excited for this pick. He's very under the Packers thresholds in terms of RAS and height and all that, but I don't think they think of him as just a pure receiver. And plus, he's mainly, can run slot, can run outside, run in the backfield, run sweeps, run jet motions, orbit motions, all the likes of that. So like I said before, I am extremely excited to see Amari Rodgers in this Matt LaFleur offense. And you got to kind of replace one A Rodgers with another, right? Too soon? Too soon? Okay, too soon, guys. All jokes aside, I really hope we can see an A Rodgers to an A Rodgers connection next year. So moving on to round 4, pick 142, the Packers drafted tackle/guard Royce Newman out of Ole Miss. I really like this pick. Obviously, the Packers came into this draft knowing they need more depth at offensive line after losing Corey Linsley, Rick Wagner, and then obviously David Bakhtiari tearing his ACL. Royce Newman, 6'5", 310 pounds, had an 8.72 RAS with an elite speed grade. He was a 2-year starter at Ole Miss. In 2019, he started at left guard, and in 2020, he started at right guard. So another versatile offensive lineman. Obviously, the Packers love these guys. They can play, multiple positions, and they just really love offensive linemen that are just versatile in general. Now, Royce allowed 3 sacks, over 847 pass blocking snaps in 2 years. I don't believe he's a starter right away, but he's definitely a great player to develop. And he joins the lineage of 4th-round linemen that have turned out really, really well for the Green Bay Packers. And that's the likes of David Bakhtiari, J.C. Tretter, T.J. Lang, and Josh Sitton. Now, here's another interesting thought with Royce Newman. If he's the future at left guard, say a couple years down the line, say if he turns into, a very solid left guard, Elgton Jenkins could surely be the future at right tackle. And I know I said earlier you want to keep Elgton at left guard, but I think he's also an all-pro tackle, especially at right tackle. So if that's the case, obviously we still have Billy Turner, but obviously he's getting older, and you obviously years down the line he may not be part of the football team anymore. But if this was the case, this is definitely a thought. Elgton Jenkins being a full-time right tackle guy, and then if Royce Newman turned out to be good, full-time left guard guy. All right, so moving on to round 5, pick 173, the Packers drafted Tedarrell Slaton, defensive tackle out of Florida. This is a big boy. 6'4", 330 pounds. I believe he actually lost weight. 7.96 RAS. This guy's a pure run stuffer, big body, right in the middle of the trenches. He could slide in, obviously, at nose tackle, but I think he could also play a little bit of one tech. So Slaton actually started his career, I believe, at guard, so insert LaTroy guy on jokes here. But generally speaking, I really like him as a run defender, a pure run defender, a gap filler for the Green Bay defense, and that's someone I think we really needed. Next to Kenny Clark, I think we needed a true gap plugger. They've been looking for a guy like him, obviously, because they signed the likes of Snacks Harrison, Anthony Rush, who are very similar guys. But this was a weak defensive line class, but they did need help at defensive line. They did need help at run defenders. And a good thing about him is he just doesn't give up on plays. He moves the offensive lineman, even when he's in a double team, he can just move people. Pretty much a guy you just put in the middle of the field and make running backs run around him and basically allow him to just stuff run plays. And overall, he's not a great pass rusher. He's minimal pass rush production, but like I said, more of a gap plugger. But that's exactly what the Green Bay Packers needed, in my opinion. So the Packers had 2 5th-round picks, and with their second one, their comp pick at pick 178, they drafted Shemar Jean-Charles, a cornerback out of Appalachian State, and I think this is a really good pick here. He's 5'10", 184 pounds. He had a low RAS with a 4.27 with only a 4.52 40. But in my opinion, that doesn't really matter too much. I believe he's a great pick and the future at slot cornerback for the Green Bay Packers. I've gone on record saying many times that I thought the Packers needed to draft 2 corners in this draft, one outside guy and one slot guy. Obviously, the outside guy being Stokes and Jean-Charles being the slot guy. Now, he was super productive over the last 2 seasons. He had 27 forced incompletions, which actually led all players in college football. Like, all players. His 2020 campaign went as follows: 17 receptions on 52 targets. He allowed 198 yards, 2 touchdowns, and racked up 1 interception, and allowed a 50.0 passer rating. As for his PFF grades, he had an 84.3 coverage grade, an 80.8 run defense grade, and a 32.7 completion percentage against him, which was way, way, way above average. Now, like I said, he could be the future slot cornerback for the Packers. Now, obviously, he's not going to start in the slot right away. That's Chandon Sullivan's job to lose. And Chandon Sullivan's, an inconsistent player. I like Chandon Sullivan. I think he had a bad game against the Buccaneers, but I think a lot of players had a bad game against the Buccaneers. But he's still our starting slot cornerback. Jean-Charles can help and contribute in the special teams right away, but he has all the tools at the end of the day to become a future starter at slot corner. And I think it's really good value at round 5, pick 178. All right, now moving on to our first of 2 6th-round picks. At pick 214, we drafted Green Bay native Cole Van Lanen, left tackle out of Wisconsin. He's 6'5", 312 pounds, an 8.49 RAS with a great speed and agility grade. This guy's a 3-year starter at left tackle at Wisconsin. So what's interesting about him is he was actually PFF's number 1 ranked left tackle in 2018 as a freshman with a 90.8 PFF. Now, he only played 5 games in 2020. He allowed 1 sack and 2 hurries in 181 pass blocking snaps, which gave him an 81.6 PFF grade, which included an 82.2 run block grade, and 70.9 pass block grade. I think he's a really solid pick in the 6th round, and obviously, as I said, with them drafting Myers and Newman, they went into this getting more offensive line help. They drafted 3 guys last year for the offensive line and another 3 this year. I don't really know what that means in terms of the guys last year, like Stepniak and Hansen, who we really don't have any clue on. Obviously, John Runyon seems to be like a good pick and a future at guard and potentially a little bit of tackle. But it's clear as day the Packers wanted to add more depth to this offensive line after probably being without 3 starters come week 1 if Bakhtiari cannot give it a go. Obviously, like I said before, lost Lindsley, lost Ricky Wagner, who was our starting right tackle by the end of the year. So we lost a lot of guys. We lost a lot of depth, and I think I really like the Packers picking up 3 guys here, and Cole Van Lanen being a 3-year starter at left tackle helps. Now, his athletic limitations may push him into guard, but he does have the body for left tackle. And weirdly enough, but also a cool story is his favorite left tackle is David Bakhtiari. Him being a Packers fan, his favorite players, he liked Brett Favre, Amari Rodgers, obviously. So he probably already has a lot of green and gold to wear. But now he gets to learn from David Bakhtiari, which is awesome. I really like the value here in the 6th round. Taking a flyer on someone like this who played, pretty solid throughout his entire career on that Wisconsin offensive line, which is pretty much just produces linemen over and over and over again. It's a low risk, high reward here. All right, so now for our second pick in the 6th round at pick 220, the Packers drafted Isaiah McDuffie, inside linebacker out of Boston College. Now, he comes in pretty small at 6'1", 227, but he still had a 7.33 RAS with a 4.6 140, which is impressive considering his spot size at inside linebacker. He had 77 tackles in 2020, which was the most among any inside linebacker entering the draft. He also racked up 3 sacks, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 1 interception in 2020 as well. Now, I think the Packers drafted him primarily for special teams, in my opinion. He has great short area burst and running back matching athleticism. He's more of a reactor than a playmaker, though. Now, he does have every down linebacker ability down the line, but definitely not right away. The dude has to be developed. He's not the best in coverage, but like I said, I think he's great special teams contributor day 1, and the Packers obviously need special teams players. So even if he just turns into a special teams gem and that's it, I think it's still a good pick here in the 6th round. So overall, I'm happy with it. As for the Green Bay Packers' last pick in the 7th round at pick 256, which I think is a really good steal here in the 7th round, is Kylin Hill, running back out of Mississippi State. He's 5'10", 214 pounds, had a 7.31 RAS with a 4.55 40-yard dash. Now, he did opt out after 3 games in 2020, but what I love about his little bit of tape that he had in 2020 is he showed great receiving ability in those 3 games. He had 23 receptions and 234 yards. But if we turn the clock back a little bit and look at 2019, he ran wild. In 13 games, he had 243 rushes for 1,348 yards. That's 5.5 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns, also racking up 18 receptions for 180 yards. So the dude balled out in 2019. So this is why I think it's a really good steal in the 7th round. Hill is a consistent tackle breaker. He's great in space. He has 116 broken tackles on 453 career carries. Great explosiveness and a pretty nasty stiff arm. And as I said in all my mock draft videos, the Packers definitely did need to pick up a running back 3. I thought 6th or 7th round for a running back. I actually had Kylin Hill in a couple of my mock drafts. It was either him or like Jamar Jefferson, someone like that. But I like Kylin Hill a lot. I think he's great as a running back 3. Now, he's not going to get much time this year, I don't believe at all, unless injuries happen, knock on wood. But great running back 3. He can come in and receive out of the backfield, get screens a little bit if needed. And overall, I think just really, really good value here in the 7th round. So those are all the Green Bay Packers picks for the 2021 NFL Draft. And I am very happy with this draft. It's a different avenue from last year. Obviously, last year was kind of more of that draft for the future type of draft. Obviously, we need to talk about the whole situation with Love and Rodgers. I'll have an update video probably on the Rodgers situation tomorrow. But this year seemed to be more about need. And I've always said I'm a huge guy, a huge BPA, best player available draft guy. But I really like this draft, actually, and I really like it because it filled so many holes of need in the Green Bay football team. And that's not saying there's a lot of holes to fill in this team. I mean, 13-3, 2 years in a row. Obviously, the success of 2021 is basically going to come down to this Aaron Rodgers saga unfolding. But as we're just talking draft right now, overall, I really like this draft. Now, I know some people and some draft pundits don't like this Packers draft too much. They'll rate it a C, a C+, whatever. But I'm not too big on the whole draft grades to begin with. None of these guys have played an NFL snap. No one drafted over the weekend has played an NFL snap. So you really don't know. We're all just kind of guessing at this rate and kind of portraying from college to the NFL, which is fine. But if you're going to rate a draft, wait 3 years, in my opinion, and then grade it. A lot of people think we did reach on Stokes and Myers, and I can understand why. Obviously, Asante Samuel's still on the board when Stokes was there, and a lot of people had him graded in the 2nd round, myself included, but now the pick makes a lot more sense, and it really grew on me. And then also the Josh Myers thing, people were confused because obviously Creed Humphrey and Quinn Miners was still there. But hey, at the end of the day, the Packers have guys on their board they like, and I trust the scouting department. They obviously, know what they're doing. So I really trust the scouting department, and overall, I'm very happy with the draft. Like I said, I think it hit a lot of check boxes that we needed to check off. So that's about going to do it for today. Like I said, I'll be probably releasing more videos about this draft class, and then also talking a little bit and updating you guys on this whole Aaron Rodgers situation and basically what I think after this weekend and sleeping on it and thinking about it even more and more. But I hope everyone has a great rest of your Monday evening. And as always, catch you on the next one. Go Pack Go.